Hello guys, welcome to today's video for which I will be documenting, reviewing, and sound demoing these cool guitars you guys see on screen. These are two of the Dean Angelo Batio Signature Series guitars, the Dean MAB3 and the Dean MAB4. I will be doing one video for both of these guitars because they are the exact same guitar with the exception that the Dean MAB4 has a graphic on the top of the body. So let's get right into it. So let's start off with the Dean MAB4. This guitar comes with a bolt-on maple neck, a rosewood fingerboard, 24 stainless steel jumbo frets, and abalone binding. It has two control knobs, the left one controls tone, the right one controls volume. It has DMT designed pickups with a 5-weight blade pickup selector. It also comes with a Floyd Rose Special and a cool snake body graphic. The fretboard has pearloid looking acrylic inlays. The fretboard is rich and brown with streaks of black, and it looks to be a very good quality neck and fretboard with very little signs of wear and no signs of cracking whatsoever. The Dean MAB3 is the exact same guitar as the Dean MAB4 with the exception that it is plain black in color. So same specs, same great quality on the neck and fretboard. These guitars also come with what Dean calls the Vendetta style double cutaway, which in theory gives you better access for the upper frets, but this isn't without its flaws and you guys will know what I'm talking about later. The wood material for the body on these guitars is alder, and the hardware on these guitars out of the factory is black. Also, these guitars were made in China. Right now, I'm showing you what the guitar looks like without the strings so you can see the quality of the fretboard. The Dean MAB3 also has a plain white variant, which in my opinion looks just beautiful out of the factory and new. However, Dean uses a white paint formula for their guitars that yellows in a very ugly way. So I've seen many of these guitars in the used market with a discoloration that looks like a dirty toilet bowl, which just kind of kills it for me. And you can see some of this on the back of this white guitar. I will say these are good guitars and they come from the early 2010s, an era in which Dean guitars made some good and robust guitars even with their cheap end lineups, which these guitars were definitely a part of. These guitars went for around $260 new, and I got these guitars for that price used. The prices on these guitars has gone up as with all other guitars. Sometimes you can find new old stock of these guitars that go for up to $500 new. This is what the inside cavity of the neck joint looks like. Very sturdy and robust, made to be a tight and precise fit. I believe this is one of the reasons why these guitars rarely show up on the used market with cracks on the neck joint, which is obviously a great thing. A lot of bolt-on neck Dean guitars, especially the ones made in today's era, show up online with cracks on the neck joint, but again, these guitars came from an era in which Dean actually gave a shit about their product. The body and the neck of these guitars is heavy, but I believe that this is a good thing because I noticed in the tone test that these guitars have great tuning stability, even when you use a whammy bar heavily. So my theory is that the wood on these guitars was made to be a bit thicker for it to be a little more sturdy and minimize warping and contraction in the wood. So a little more wood on this guitar for tuning stability reasons worked out great. The neck on this guitar feels sturdy and straight, although just a bit heavy. The fret ends feel good, and overall this neck just feels like a very good quality neck, as with the other Dean guitars from this era that I've reviewed. The Vendetta style double cutaway on this guitar does make it easy to access all the frets, yet the bottom horn of these guitars will hit up against your wrist when you try to play long finger stretching parts high on the neck. In the tone test, I tried to play Angelo Batio's Gargoyle lick, and the bottom horn would just not let me. Besides that, I have no other complaints about the fret access of this guitar. In the back of the headstock, these guitars have a cool Angelo Batio silhouette, and these guitars did come with Grover tuners from the factory back in the day, which is almost unheard of on a cheap-end Dean guitar from today's era. From this angle, these guitars look identical. This is because the graphic on the Dean MAB4 is only apparent on the front of the body, but not on the back. I believe this is the case with most Angelo Batio Signature Series guitars. The back of the body of these guitars is just what you would expect with any guitar that has a Floyd, so nothing fancy, but it looks fine, and the silhouette looks really cool in my opinion. As of right now, these guitars are discontinued. Angelo Batio parted ways with Dean Guitars and is now endorsed by Sawtooth Guitars. This is a shame in my opinion, because his Dean guitars were actually much better guitars, at least aesthetically, at least back in the day when these were being produced. But I get it. The quality and respect of /4 Dean guitars has dropped immensely in recent years, and we've seen a lot of artists leave Dean guitars. I believe what I mentioned has something to do with it. Dean and Angelo Batio parting ways also made his signature guitars much more expensive on the used market. Alright guys, let's get into the quick and messy tone demo, and then I'll talk more about my thoughts on these guitars. although they are a bit heavy, these guitars do feel good to hold and play. The tuning stability on these guitars is awesome, which is always a must on a guitar that has a Floyd Rose, but the pickups sound good, yet not great. I noticed that these pickups get super screechy and get a lot of feedback, which is weird as other guitars that I've reviewed on this channel that have the same pickups don't have this problem. For example, the Dean Racerbacks DB Floyd that I've reviewed have these pickups. They don't have this problem, which I wonder if the middle pickup and the wiring of it has something to do with that. Speaking of the middle pickup, it does get in the way of your picking a lot, even when you lower it as much as possible. In some parts of the tone demo, you can actually hear me hit up against that middle pickup if you listen close enough. As you guys heard in the clean tone test, even without distortion, these pickups can get very buzzy. So the only time this wasn't a problem was when the blade switch was on either extreme, meaning only one full humbucker was active on the signal. So again, good pickups, but not great. I think these guitars are great for beginners and good for intermediate guitarists, but not for a professional, at least not stock. I would definitely change the pickups if I would want to keep one of these guitars. It's also worth noting that Angelo Batio never played these guitars on stage, and the only video I could actually find of him playing these guitars was a promotional video that Dean Guitars made for these guitars. So if I were to keep one of these guitars for myself, I would at the very least take out the middle pickup, which seems to be the source of a lot of problems with this guitar. Either that, or I would upgrade the pickups to, I know Angelo Batio has some signature pickups, the Hands Without Shadow pickups. I've never tried those, so maybe I would install those on this guitar. I know Angelo Batio also used EMG's 81 and 85 on his higher end Dean guitars. I don't really like those pickups. I think they sound very generic, and I do own some guitars that have those, but yeah, I don't know. It sucks that the white Dean MAB3 ages the ugliest, because that's the guitar that I thought was absolutely beautiful and would probably keep if it didn't yellow so ugly. I just can't get over it, but those are my personal thoughts on these guitars. Again, good guitars for intermediate guitar players, great guitars for beginners, but if you are a pro and you want to get one of these guitars, I recommend changing the pickups. So final thoughts on these guitars. In terms of sound, I give them a 6.9 out of 10. Good pickups, but not great. Too screechy for most people's taste, including myself, and too much feedback to give them a higher grade. Otherwise, I think they sound great. In terms of construction, I give these guitars an 8 out of 10, maybe even an 8.4, 8.5. Great construction for a low-end guitar, and the tuning stability is awesome. These guitars will surely last you a very long time if you take good care of them. In terms of aesthetics, I give the black guitar an 8 out of 10. It looks simple yet modern, and I think it looks great. The MAB4, the one with the graphic, will get the same grading because even though it has a graphic, that's a matter of personal taste whether you like it or not. I give the white guitar a 6 out of 10, lower than the other guitars because it ages badly, but not a terrible grade because it looks absolutely beautiful when it's new. It sucks that it does that, but it is what it is. In terms of feel and playability, I give these guitars an 8 out of 10. They feel good to play and to hold, but admittedly they are a bit heavy, and it sucks that the bottom horn gets in the way of your long stretches, especially when they're designed for Angelo Batio. It's kind of ironic that you can't play the gargoyle lick, so there is that. So overall, are these guitars as good as their higher end counterparts? Well, no, but they are still great guitars nonetheless. Alright guys, that's all I have for this video. If you guys have questions, comments, or concerns concerning these instruments, leave them in the comment section. Otherwise, you guys stay safe, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.